In your journey to learn how to invest in real estate, overcoming fear is a must. There's not a one of us that weren't afraid and aren't afraid sometimes still today. You know, every time you progress, you move up the ladder a little bit. There's a new challenge. Challenges are scary. Change is scary. We're going to talk about overcoming fear today. I'd like to discuss about 3 things concerning fear. One is recognizing fear. Know when you're being held back or you're holding back because of fear. Once you learn to recognize that you're holding back due to fear, then you can go to step number 2. Hone in on exactly what are you afraid of. So recognize that you're being held back by fear, then identify why are you afraid. Then last but not least, I'll tell you how having a plan isn't always enough. You got to have a little more than a plan. So how do you recognize fear or when fear is holding you back? I've learned to see it in my own life when I have this feeling I really should be doing this, but I'm not doing it. Then I start to go to the next level. Why? Why am I not doing this? What's holding me back? You know you ought to do this. Why are you not doing it? Well, it always comes down to I'm afraid of something I don't know. Typically. Or I'm afraid of something that's going to happen if I do it, or might happen, and I don't know how I'm going to handle it. So that's the first step. Learn to recognize that you're being held back, and then start to recognize in yourself what it looks like. We're all different. So you're getting pretty good at recognizing when you're afraid of something or when fear is holding you back. No big deal, but what's good about this so far is you're learning to recognize when it's you. So the next thing we do is we hone in on it. Why are you not moving? Why are you standing still? Why are you not jumping? What is the reason? Because if we can find out the reason, then we can take steps and make a plan that will be okay if it happens. If the worst thing happens, we'll be all right. We can live with it. But before you figure out how you're going to handle the worst thing or the thing that you're afraid of, then you can't go forward. So let's say you really want to buy this first house, but you're really not so sure your spouse is on board. It's a great deal. It's right there. You should be running over there to sign it because it's that good, but you're just not moving. You're afraid you're going to get countered by your spouse. What will you do about it? There's only one thing really to do about it. Let's just drop what we're doing right here and go over and let's have a conversation. It may or may not turn out the way you want, but that's the first step. The other thing is you might have to make some decisions. If you go ahead and buy this house without your spouse's approval, do you think she'll forgive you? Are you sure enough you'll make money that you're sure she'll forgive you? So you have to go through these steps. How much can you take? How severe will it be? How long will you be in pain if the worst happens? Another example. You got a chance to put a $1,000 option fee on a property. You're not sure if you can sell it or not. It's just kind of on the fence. You don't know. And you're afraid to put up the $1,000. You have to come to the conclusion that if you lose that $1,000, you're going to be okay. And that's the only way you're going to be free to run. If you go into a deal petrified over what you're going to lose, you lose sight of what you're trying to do. You're trying to make some money. Instead, you're being petrified about losing this only $1,000 you have, or this $1,000 that took you 6 months to save. You have to give yourself permission sometimes to take a chance and fail. And then, lo and behold, probably you won't fail. But you have to give yourself permission so you're not worried about the downside as much as you're trying to work on making the upside happen. Sometimes you just have to have someone help you overcome your limiting belief. I have a business partner named Mike, and Mike was really good at getting private money from his direct family, his close family. As soon as that money ran out, the money kind of dried up. I was asking him, hey, Mike, what's the deal? You're not getting any more private money. He said, all my family's tapped. I said, well, okay, that's great, but there's a whole big world out there. Why aren't you going out there? He says, I don't know, but something's holding me back. I said, well, think about it. Let's figure out what it is so we can get over it. He calls me back in a couple of days. I said, what is it? He said, I'm only 24 years old. I don't even own my own house. I've only been in this business for, 4 or 5 months. Why in the world would these wealthy people that had money to loan, why are they going to loan it to me? I haven't achieved anything really. That's when we figured out how to fix it. Because Mike was able to identify the problem, I had the fix like that. He did his part. He identified what was holding him back. He didn't know how to fix it, but I knew how to fix it because I had years of experience in this department. And I just said, let's meet tomorrow and I'm going to fix your problem. So we met the next day and I took these 2 deals to him. One, I said, I'm a 60-year-old man and I'm going to bring this deal to you. And I'm going to ask you if you will loan me the money on it. And you need to use your business savvy and tell me yes or no. No favoritism. Just look at the deal and tell me if it's a good deal for you to loan me money. So I brought him a deal that the house was worth $100,000. And I asked him to loan me $90,000. And he looked at it and didn't take him very long. He said, I'm not loaning you $90,000 on a $100,000 house. There's no margin for error for me. I said, okay, I'm 60 years old and I know what I'm doing. He said, still don't want to do it. I said, okay, I get it. Then I said, now let's turn the tables around. You pretend now that I'm 15 years old, okay? Not 24, 15. And I'm going to bring you another deal. Hey, Mike, here's a house that's worth $100,000. I need $40,000 in a first lien position. Will you loan me the money? Remember, I'm 15. The answer is yes. You didn't give a crap about how old I was or how much experience I had or even if I'd committed murder. You saw that you had a $100,000 house backing up a $40,000 loan. Where's the downside of that? That's when Mike overcame his fear of borrowing private money because I taught him how to get over his limiting belief. His limiting belief was, I'm too young, I don't have experience, I'm not successful. I proved to him it wasn't about him, it was about the deal. And he went on to raise a lot of private money. Hey, if you have a fear or you're stuck someplace, put it in the comments. Maybe we can help you get past it. That's what we do. We've been helping people for a long time. Also, if you like what we're doing or you like these conversations and they're helping you, hit that like button. It means a lot to us. It really helps us out. Also, share it with your friends and family. Share it with your neighbors, whoever you think could benefit from it. And of course, if you've not subscribed, please subscribe. What are you waiting for? So in the beginning of this episode, I talked about the 3 things. And the third thing was that sometimes having a plan isn't enough. In my example with Mike, we came up with the way to overcome that limiting belief. And he got it. His limiting belief was that he was too young. And I showed him where it didn't matter how old he was. What mattered was the deal. But that's not enough. He was able to get a lot of private money because he took massive action. Having a plan's part of it. Taking the massive action with the plan that you have is the other part. You know, when we talk about private money, Mike had to start calling on 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people just to get comfortable and to get his pitch down right. And to get a few objections, to get in a kind of a tight spot a couple of times. By the time he'd done 7 or 8, he was getting really smooth. By the time he presented 10 times, he was smooth as ice. And now he can raise private money just like that. The conversation's easy, it's breezy, it's really light. He knows exactly what he's doing, and he's heard all the objections. By the way, there was only about 21 objections when talking to people about loaning you private money. And we know the answers to all of those questions. And it really helps when you go into that conversation to know that you know the answers to the only objections they can bring up. At least the only ones we've ever heard so far. So, get a plan, and then you have to take massive action. Even if it's a little uncomfortable at first. Since we've talked about private money in this episode, I'm going to go ahead and give away a private money webinar. Just go to 1000houses.com, scroll up and down the front page, and you'll find it. It says Private Money Webinar. Check it out. I'm going to help you raise that private money if you'll just let me.